What is up, Fanatics? It is 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Yes, this is like a time that I don't think I've ever streamed at before. An hour earlier than usual. And I'm glad to see the crowd is here. And tonight, our featured guest is REL, but they haven't showed up yet. So all you got is me right now. So hopefully there are just some technical issues causing some slowness. But otherwise, I'm going to be telling you guys all about REL subwoofers. And as that I've never owned one, that would be probably not the best thing. But you know what? I'm going to do the best I can to wing it without anybody. So it's funny, Hi-Fi Haven. This should be awesome. It takes like a whole different kind of aspect of awesomeness, so a little bit different going on. But in any event, glad to have everybody here. This is episode 120, and we are 1 hour of content corner. That's right. But, you know, to get things kicked off, one thing I can talk about is what I was up to this past weekend. And this past weekend, I was at the Home Entertainment Show in Long Beach, California. And this is the first hi-fi show. And this was purely a 2-channel affair. And this is the first show since COVID. And it was awesome to be back in a show. I mean, it was so nice to be there. So nice to see the equipment and see the people. Yes, Amiko, she is the showrunner there and kind of the face of the show. And I was their first ambassador. That's right. Yeah, I was the I don't know, the social media person. I don't know. But it's, kind of a new thing that they had going on. And so, I was doing a lot of hobnobbing with the vendors and talking with attendees and posting content and taking pictures. And I don't know, I've got 600 or 700 pieces of content, whether it's video clips or photos and whatnot that I'll be sharing out over time. Yeah, you're very welcome, Hi-Fi Haven. And I've got a lot more where that came from. And, I think the show went off pretty smooth and it was a huge success. There were a lot of heavy hitters in the 2-channel world there, and it was very exciting to see the gear. And there are a few new upstarts. I don't know if I call them upstarts is the right term, but I guess new folks that are just getting into it that were there for the first time ever. So a company called Heavenly Soundworks, they're making a pair of powered bookshelves, and I think the model number is the 517. They were brand new. Maybe I can pull up some of this stuff and talk about it. Let me see if I can get this on a web page. Hey, look, they got a web page and everything. So let me share this so you can see this, because I was really impressed by this pair of powered speakers. They were really, really cool. Let me share the screen and a Chrome tab and Heavenly Soundworks and share. Boom. All right, there we are. So these guys right here, and these are awesome. So REL says they're running a little bit late, but they're going to be here in a few minutes. So I'll tread water with you guys and talk a little bit about the show until they arrive. But these powered bookshelf speakers are pretty outstanding. So uh, it's what's interesting is everything's DSP on the inside, meaning even the crossover. So they're three-way, but it's not a single amplifier into a passive network. So there's three different amps. There's a amp for each driver, and then on the sides you've got the passive radiators. So I guess there's six amplifiers all together across the two units, which is pretty rocking. Um, and they sound pretty outstanding. And it's a father and son team, and the dad is doing the speaker design on these, and the son is doing the industrial design, which is which is really cool. They're really great. And another company, let me see if I can search these up quick. Yeah, Zingali Acoustics. These guys were there, and they were showing. Let me look at high end hi-fi. Maybe it's in here. Are you guys seeing it? Yeah, you're seeing it. Home monitor, the 20. I'm not sure what model it was, but it was a awesome sounding speaker. OHC Cinema. Man, they got a lot of stuff that I had no idea about. I'm not really familiar with these dudes. Home monitor. It's not the home monitor. It's the one that has the maybe it's these guys. Image. The image. Yes, I think it's these guys. The 20 Evo 1.2. And these were amazing. If you guys have not heard of Zingali before, and this is a brand that's new to me, obviously they've been around, but I really like it. These things sounded great. And another brand that I want to call out that is new to me is Wired for Sound. And I'd never heard of these dudes before, and it's maybe the Wired for Sound is the reseller, but the speakers actually had the brand on there, and it was this W. So I don't know if they're new into speakers, because I don't even, I see here digital converters, music servers, preamps, blah 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 blah, but I don't see any speakers on their website. But I suppose they could have had somebody else's speakers. I don't know, but it was the interesting thing about these is that in a high end show you don't see a lot of subwoofers, and let me just tell you, there was not a single discrete subwoofer at this entire show that I can remember seeing. Not a single one. Meaning that you have a box that's got a sub in it, and then you set it beside other speakers. I don't recall seeing a single unit of that across all the vendors, and it kind of blew my mind that was not in existence. But these Wired for Sound speakers, I'm going to have to figure out what they are. They must be a rebranded something. These were interesting because they took a page out of, I don't guess this uncommon design for speakers, but this is what companies like Definitive Technology do, where they have your mid-range and highs, and then they'll have a powered subwoofer inside the tower, and that's what these guys were doing. So they had powered tins, rear-facing tins in their towers, and it sounded quite good. I mean, I'm not sad at all about the sound that was coming out of those speakers. And I think the best and most impressive part of that was the karaoke that was sung in the Wired for Sound room. And if you guys haven't sang karaoke with me before, it's quite the experience. But that was just like the cherry on top for the Wired for Sound. Outside of that, it was just I don't know, a parade of really good sounding gear that that made me a little bit jealous of the 2-channel system that I have in my living room, because they had everything from bookshelf speakers all the way up to these monster towers that are taller than me that have dual 18s in each tower. And I guess that's the answer for full range. But it was exquisite. It sounded really good. And I guess on the front of the esoteric or the kind of out there, there was a company that was selling a new form of speaker cable that I thought was kind of interesting. And I I'm going to try and let me see, the Home Entertainment Show 2021. I'm going to see if I can find this, and it's like some of the most out there stuff I've seen in a while as far as speaker cables go. I think it was called High Fidelity Cables or something like that. Let me Google it. High Cables. Their company. Maybe this is it. This is it. Yeah. So this was the exact setup. Am I showing you guys? Yeah, you're seeing it. So I'm gonna make this full screen. Boom. So this is the a subset of the setup that they had there. So they probably had this exact same set of speakers, and the stuff on the sides, those just come off, right? So those aren't real speakers. They're just like round pieces of I don't know, design or accessory or something. But the those tubes in the middle, between the speakers and the stack of components, that's the new technology using magnetic conduction technology. So that was the kind of the most out there, high end. Let me put myself back on screen. High end kind of stuff that I saw at the show. Everything else was pretty par for course, and I'm going to actually put up a part of a recording of their sales pitch that I think a lot of people will find interesting. So, I'm not espousing the technology, or I'm not calling it out or anything, but this was I think more of the right field kind of stuff than everything else. Everything else was pretty straightforward. A number of world premieres on speakers there, including I think the Zengalis were brand new, and just, I guess, to sum it all up is, they have REL has canceled. So they are out for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. There will be no boom boom from REL for us to talk about today. So hopefully I can reschedule them. But they just sent a note saying that they can't make it. So with that, we'll shift gears. If anybody in the audience wants to come on and be a guest, I'm more than happy to bring you on. So we're getting an hour of content corner. So we're going to go ahead and move into that, because I think we've covered the show. Oh, also, for those that are interested, coming up soon, later this year, is going to be CEDIA. And CEDIA is back in full force, and I've got my press credential for that already. So I'm very excited to be there and doing that show. So all of the normal home theater folks that you would expect are going to be there, and it's going to be absolutely off the hook or off the chain or off the whatever that you're used to. So I'm excited for that one, but I'm good to go. I just need to find a hotel room at this point. I've got flights, and I got my confirmation for press credentials yesterday. So life is looking good there. But in the vein now of, I'm going to do this the right way for you guys today. Ooh, or maybe I'm not. Is this working? No, it's not working. Well, everything's freaking broken now. Come on, Pat. Here we go. How about this? How about this music for Content Corner? Today, we're going to take a trip to a place that will move you. It will take you to new heights of glorious cinematic adventure as you experience the epicness of Infinite. How was that? Was that pretty good? Oh gosh. So I did watch the movie Infinite. I'm gonna pull this up for you guys. Movie. This is streaming on, let's see, Infinite 2021 IMDb. This is streaming on Paramount Plus. So this is interesting because for me, it's the first show that I've watched on Paramount Plus from a movie's point of view. I've watched some television stuff. That's where Star Trek is, and I'm a huge, I guess maybe not a huge Trekkie, but I'm a huge fan of the genre, and I've watched all the Trek stuff and all that stuff. Yeah, good old Marky Mark. So Mark Wahlberg is here doing his thing, and this movie is interesting because it has components from a lot of other movies. It's got car chase scenes a la every action film ever created. It takes, I think, a note from Marvel Endgame, right? So it's like has like a Thanos component to a certain extent. It's got a little Thanos action in there, although it's not Thanos, right? But it's like a Thanos-esque. Although instead of just 50%, these folks are like all in on the turning everybody to ash. It's got like a Highlander feel to it, like people living a long time. However, they give it a twist of reincarnation, and this isn't spoiling the movie. Well, I might spoil a little bit of it. But it has reincarnation, and you get all those shared lifetimes or whatever of skills. It's got a little bit of the Matrix because the main character is kind of like Neo a little bit in that he can do things that he's not supposed to be able to do. So not only has he been reincarnated, 1,000 times and has lived 1,000 lives and has all that skill, but he also can alter the universe with his mind and that kind of thing. So I liked the first half of the movie a little bit more than the second half. I think there's no big surprises in the plot. The first half of the movie is them creating the mythology of the universe, and that part was kind of cool. I really enjoyed seeing that. But from there, then they just played out the action sequences of the movie kind of in a logical sequence, and there wasn't anything, no big twists and turns. It kind of ended up like you would figure that it would end up, but it was still a satisfying ending. The sound was okay. It was, like I said, it was streaming through Paramount Plus, and this is my first go around there. So, I don't even know if I was getting Atmos off this or not. I don't remember any particular Atmos scenes or effects that caught my attention. So it might not have even been in Atmos. I was watching via my NVIDIA Shield through the rest of my home theater system. What was cool though is I was listening to this through the Atlantic Technology 8600 speaker stack, which I've just finished filming everything for, and I'm working on cutting everything together for the video for the review of the 5.1 system. And that speaker system did a great job of reproducing this movie for me. And I really enjoy that speaker system quite a bit. So I've got 3 5.1 reviews that are going to be coming up over the next little while, and this will be the first one that I dropped the video for. And I like this one a lot. The speaker system, it's pretty rocking. Next up will probably, it'll be a toss up. It'll either be the Triangle Borea system or the Aperion Audio concert towers. But everybody and their brother has been dropping concert tower videos, so it feels like the world is a little crowded right now with concert tower videos for Aperion. So I might let that rest just a little bit before I get into that. But I will be able to do the full 5.1 system from Aperion. And, I've had that hooked up and listened to it. And, the hint there is it sounds really good. Oh, man. And then the Triangle stuff, I haven't listened to the towers extensively yet, but I listened to the BRO3s, I think it is, the bigger bookshelf speakers. And I was absolutely shocked by the quality of sound that those were putting out. It was really good. And I was listening through my home theater stack, streaming Qobuz, and a lot of Daft Punk. Now I had this, attached to the home theater subwoofer system. So, that means there was quite a bit of rock and bass in there, and it was really good. But those will be some videos coming up in the not too distant future. So that's Infinite, worth a shot. They left it open at the end for sequels. if I had to guess, I don't think that there will be sequels. There might be, but I'm not really feeling it. I don't think this one will get the buzz. Now what is getting the buzz right now is the Indiana Jones in 4K, and in Hi-Fi Haven. That is absolutely awesome. And I plan to pick those all up on Kaleidoscape at some point and watch those all in 4K. I've watched them all with my kids already in Blu-ray 1080p, but I haven't done the 4K there. But I think it'd be fun to go back and revisit those again and check those out. I mean, those are classic, timeless stories, especially the first one. Oh, it's so good. So I think I've got a date with Harrison Ford. I'm curious, has anybody gone back and watched any of the I can't remember the character's name. Is it Jack Reacher or something like that? It's all like the Patriot Games stuff. Jack Ryan. I think it's Jack Ryan, not Reacher. Reacher is some other series of movies or videos. But I haven't seen those since they were put out in the 90s, maybe something like that. So that's going to be exciting to go back and watch those. But I want to pick all those up and watch those. Patriot Games, I think Hunt for Red October. Maybe that's not in the same universe. No, it's in that universe. And it's got Sean Connery, which is awesome, right? The new James Bond movie is coming up, and I'm looking forward to that. So let's take a moment and talk about the movies that are going to be coming up this year that I plan to talk about. So, and then for folks that are watching, you might have heard that, my plan, as I can get to this, is to find guests to come in and really specifically talk about the Content Corner stuff and have a guest on the show weekly for that. Or I could spin it off and just do a separate show about content. That might be a little too much right now. Floating one show is hard enough. I don't know if I can float two of them. But I am looking for folks that are interested in having that kind of discussion, or maybe a pool of people that can rotate in and talk about things that they are interested in. So the movies that I have on the list to discuss coming up. Ooh, Hi-Fi Haven says he's got the Jack Ryan box set. That's the 4K box set. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then AA says that he's seen Patriot Games on Amazon recently. And the picture is incredible. I guess this is on the Indiana Jones 4K movies. That's cool. But coming up in the near future, I'm going to try and watch the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. This has a lot of actors and actresses in it that I really like. And I don't know if this is streaming or if this is going to be in theater only, but it comes out on the 16th, so tomorrow. So I got to figure that out. But that's, I want to have that one watched and ready to talk about. The week after that is F9, and I know there's a lot of naysayers around the Fast and Furious franchise, but I absolutely love all those movies, and I don't care how cheesy they get or how strained it has to be to keep pulling storylines out of this stuff. I just absolutely love it. Now, if I could, I would alter it so that the cars aren't like these super monster miracle machines, and just take it back like to movie number one, where it was a lot of import tuner cars, and focus on that, because I really enjoyed that aspect of it quite a bit. So I'd like to see that, but I'll keep watching the movies as long as they make them. Then on July 6th, I'm going to be in Hawaii on vacation. Finally, I have this summer number 3 of trying to take a vacation. This one is going to kick off unless for some reason one of us fails our COVID test. We're all vaccinated except for my little guy. So we should be in good shape for that. But I'll be in Hawaii, so I'm not going to do a movie for that one. But then July 13th show, watching a movie coming out July 9th. Does anybody know what this one is? This one I've been looking forward to for a long time. That's right, Black Widow. Oh, so that one, super excited about. And then from there, moving on down the list a little bit, Black Widow, The Tomorrow War, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe, which I feel like is going to be horrible I maybe it won't be, but man, I'm just a little worried that it's just going to be super, super, super crappy. Then the Green Knight, that one I think is going to be interesting. Moving on to Suicide Squad, another one that I'm worried about, but we'll see. Then Free Guy, and if you guys don't know what that one is, you need to go Google Free Guy. Reminiscence, you guys need to Google that one if you're not familiar. BIOS, you need to Google that one. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Five Rings. And this one's interesting because, this is a Marvel Universe movie, but the lead actor, I first saw him in the 30-minute comedy Kim's Convenience. And I've talked about Kim's Convenience before, and they just finished, they closed out the show in season 5, but it was kind of, I don't know, it was sad because they had been scheduled for 6 seasons, and I believe they had written all the story arc out through the 6 seasons. And it feels like they tried to tie up some of the stuff in the very last episode of season 5, which ended up being the last episode, but it ended on a not so cool note because they just had to kill it. And that was super disappointing because that show was so absolutely awesome. My favorite television format, favorite kind of show on television, favorite time format is the 30-minute situation comedy. I just absolutely love it. It's little bite-size content pieces that you can kind of watch whenever you want to, or in the case of Kim's Convenience, you just binge 5 seasons all in a row. But that's my favorite, and this is my most recent favorite in that genre. And I strongly recommend everybody watch that one. I mean, and then I'm looking forward to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Five Rings. Going to be good. Following that up, a couple of weeks later on the September 28th show will be Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Then Time to Die, The Last Duel, Dune, which drops 10/21, which has been pushed out for over a year now. Super excited about that. I actually just bought Dune on Kaleidoscape, and it's the Blu-ray version, but my understanding is that there will be a 4K version of that comes out before the new movie is released. So, my hope is to get upgraded into the 4K version and do a Dune night here, maybe over 2 nights. So I agree. Dune and Matrix 4, both humongous movies that I've got really, really high hopes for, because, everything I've seen this year has been okay. Right. But there hasn't been a movie yet in 2021 that has blown me away and has become part of my lexicon of movies that I have to have and that I'll go back and watch again. I can't think of anything at this point that I'm like, okay, this is awesome, I have to have it, and I'm going to watch it over and over. Tenet didn't do it. Infinite didn't do it. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, didn't do it. Right. And we're halfway through the year. And it's been nice to have new content because, we didn't have anything last year, right? But so far, none of these have been super heavy hitters for me. But Matrix 4 and Dune and some of these others, like, Black Widow, The Tomorrow War, which is based off a set of books. Is it Haldeman? I can't remember who wrote them. But, I'm excited for that. And then moving on past Dune, Eternals, who knows? Ghostbusters Afterlife, who knows? Top Gun Maverick, who knows? And then you got A Quiet Place 2 coming out. And I'm trying to watch A Quiet Place 1. And let me just tell you guys about my struggle with this. These suspense movies are hard for me to deal with, right? And I don't like the horror genre, and I don't like the super suspenseful dramas either. So, okay, I'm good with aliens coming and, fighting and whacking people and that kind of stuff. But the whole suspense that they build up, and then so I got to the point where the wife was, she's pregnant, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how are they gonna have a baby? The baby's gonna scream, monsters are gonna come kill everybody, and they've got like this coffin crate with an oxygen tank that they're gonna obviously shove the baby in, that's supposed to soundproof it or something. But how do you give birth and not have sound? And for me, it's like, I don't know, I get this tight feeling in my chest just watching it. I'm like, okay, because I translate the fake world into the real world. I'm like, what would I do? My kids, oh my God, I'm gonna die. oh God. But so, she's going up, she's got the laundry, and then it snags on the nail and she pulls it up, and then the nail's on the stairs pointing up, and she's pregnant, and you got the girl who's going nuts, and you already saw the little son die because she gave him the toy at the beginning, and I'm like, I can't take it. This is gonna, I can't take it. It's gonna kill me. It's too much, too much. So I I don't know. I'm gonna go back and try and finish this movie out, but I'm having to take it in bits and pieces. And yeah, the effects are great, and the Atmos is absolutely killer in sections, but this thing's playing with my emotions. Seriously, I mean, it's playing with my emotions. Um, but I need to get through it so I can watch The Quiet Place 2, because I want to be able to, participate in the conversation around that content. But man, just between you and me, this is hard for me. Now, what is not difficult for me is a movie that I just bought yesterday, and that's Friday. I know. Yeah, the original Friday with Ice Cube and the the other guy. It's Friday. You ain't got no job and you got shit to do. Right? That dude. I can't think of his name, what his name is. Man, I hate it when I can't remember these things. But I just bought that. And now that's a movie that I can watch over and over and over and over, right? You want some of this, old man? No. I mean, just the lines are just my neck, and my back, or my back and my neck, whatever it was. I mean, if you guys haven't seen that one, you are absolutely missing out. You got to get down with Friday. That's so good. Now you can skip next Friday, and then Friday after next, they didn't hold up. But Friday is it's just a classic, and it's in my lexicon of movie language. And I'll have that one until I'm dead. But I just bought that on Kaleidoscape to have in the collection. I bought it at the same time as I bought Dune. Is it weird to buy Friday and Dune at the same time? I don't know, but I did. And then at the end of the year, December 22nd, just before Christmas time, Matrix 4 is coming out, and I honestly have no idea what they're going to do with that story. I've not tried to look and see what's coming up or what the plot line might be, and I can't even imagine what the plot line might be. But I'm gonna check it out anyway. So yeah, AA, it is absolutely in game. Now I think that Kaleidoscape still has improvements that they're going to be able to implement over time. It's primarily used in avenues with projection, so Dolby Vision isn't really a thing for them, and their hardware doesn't support it. But Dolby Vision should be a thing, I think, and I'm sure that their next versions of hardware, whenever they come out, and I don't have any view into what that looks like, will deal with that kind of stuff. And I do expect there'll be competitors that compete directly on the same type of platform at some point in the future too, especially as things are shifting towards streaming. Now, Kaleidoscape obviously isn't streaming, but it's a download service, so you get all the quality of a 4K Blu-ray, but you just download the file, and instead of reading the file from a spinning disk, you read it from a hard drive, which could be a spinning disk, but it's more likely solid state. Actually, I think they're still spinning disk 6 terabyte drives or whatever that you buy. So you're just reading it from a different kind of spinning disk, optical, and one, the other one is electromagnetic. But I will be on a panel that Brett Bjorquist from Kaleidoscape is going to be filming here pretty soon. And I'm not sure if it's going to be live stream video like this kind of format, or if it's just going to be a podcast format. But it'll be him and me and several other folks that are awesome in the home theater world that know all about Kaleidoscape. Bill Lord's going to be there, and he runs the big Kaleidoscape group on Facebook, and I've got a little Kaleidoscape group that I made. It's like me and 10 of my closest friends. So that I don't know if there's enough room for two. Like the Highlander says, there can only be one. So we'll see how that goes. But I will be doing that, and that's pretty exciting because I absolutely love Kaleidoscape. And I'm trying to find some representatives from a handful of other content player companies, source devices to bring on too. I really want to get the Zadu guy to come on here, and that's a file player. It's not really good for streaming, but it plays every kind of file imaginable. It's kind of like a Zapedi. And I think in your Rolodex of sources, there are a handful of sources that I would recommend that people have. And one source that I think people should have is like a Swiss Army knife file player. And the NVIDIA Shield is pretty good, but really, from my point of view, the NVIDIA Shield, kind of on the same level with Apple TV, are the two best streaming devices on the market. If you're going to do any streaming, one of those two is the one to have. And I've got both of them. I think the Shield might be a little better, but the Apple TV does some things that the Shield can't do. So you can do like HDR to SDR mapping, and then run that through HD Fury and do some work on the video signal there to get a little extra quality out of a projector. So there's all kinds of things you can do, and the Shield's kind of good at some, and the Apple TV's good at others, but those are the best for streaming. But I recommend that you have a dedicated file player, and it can be a Zadu, it can be a Zapedi, it can be a Dune. And I'm attracted to Dune because it's like the movies, but it's really some company that makes file players. So there are a handful of different ones out there. But probably for me, Zapedi or Zadu would be the ones that are at the top of the list, although the first letter of their name is at the end of the list. But I would check those out for sure. I guess to round out, since we're talking about it, the sources that I think everybody should have, like I said, the streamer, the file player, a disc player, and I'm still feeling panny on top there. There are a lot of options you can go with, but the Panasonic 820 and 9000, or the 420 is the step down model if you don't need Dolby Vision. Those are all great options. And then on top of that, the cherry on top, the one that I would recommend that you use, as long as you're using it with a projection screen, and even if you're using it with a television, it still might be tops, is Kaleidoscape, because it's just awesome. It's so easy, and I just love the Kaleidoscape experience. It's so good. Now, since we're talking about video, another thing that I'm going to call out that I'm going to be working on here pretty soon is I should be getting my hands on a Mad VR Envy in the not too distant future. So that's kind of exciting. It creates some stuff around that product line. And this is the video processors, the Envy and the Lumigen, I think are the two best known, and Lumigen's been around longer, but that really is where things can go absolutely crazy for you. If you've ever seen someone with a home theater PC playing back, a bit for bit rip of a Blu-ray disc being manipulated by Mad VR, just the free version, somebody who knows what they're doing and they've got it set up correctly, it is absolutely stunning. I mean, it is just ridiculously good. What this software can do to your video and how good it can make everything look. So that, I think, for me is, there are two things left in my theater that I think I can get meaningful upgrades from. One is a new projector. My Optoma UHD 65 is good. It's great. But it's not, a JVC or Barco. Barco, you out there, or a Wolf. Barco Wolf, you guys are my dream machines right now, by the way. And then, behind that, probably Sony and JVC. But yeah, the Barco stuff is just, the Wolf stuff, so good, but so expensive. When the anamorphic lens is built in, it's got to be good, right? Yeah, it's got to be good. But those are the two things that, two pieces of equipment that, for me, I think are outstanding to make the room that I have better. Maybe a little more room treatments to damp things down a little bit more. But those, I think, are where meaningful upgrades can be had. So let's, all right. So a couple of comments. The matrix plot will be that there's a matrix within a matrix. Could be interesting. Let's get rid of those guys. All right. Okay, Fantasy Advent Children on 4K. So I heard that part of the content in that was actually just old school, was it 480p, like before HD? Just it was some of that, but upsampled, right? Upconverted to 4K. And then that was mixed in with new 4K stuff. So I don't know, but I want to watch I want to watch that and see what it looks like in 4K because man, I'm a big lover of the genre, and the whole anime kind of stuff. I think Advent Children was like more computer animation as opposed to hand drawn animation. But it's interesting to see that. I'm looking forward to that. So Double A says he's streaming Star Trek TNG from Netflix, and the DTS mixer is awesome. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And dude, Anthem, good stuff there. Watching a 90s show for the first time with upgraded video and audio compared to watching it on television 30 years ago. It's funny. Even that super old stuff, you can have a really good experience with. I'm thinking about going back and watching Stargate SG1. So I never watched all of it. I probably made it through the first 5 seasons. And then for whatever happened in my life, I didn't watch the rest of it. And there's another 5 seasons after that, plus all the movies that I didn't see. So that's, I'm thinking about doing that. But I found a website that's dedicated to Stargate where they have actually gone through and identified the arc episodes for the entire series. So the ones that are most important to the plot, where you can watch those episodes, and they kind of cut out like the side stories and the fluff episodes. And it's just the ones that you need to watch to get the gist of what's going on for the big picture. So I might do that, but that's still a huge time investment. And there's so much new content now that I don't know if it's worth it or not. I heard that there might be another Stargate series coming, and it might be worth it to be prepared for that. Yeah, I'll share that Stargate site. I'll look that up and figure out what it is. But it might be worth it if there is going to be a new season for that to check out. It's a modest setup with nothing like Giles of Stark. The Stark stuff is good. I can't knock those guys. It's super amazing, and it's still for me the tops that I've ever had in my theater running the full blown 9.x.4 system. Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. Those ICH 5 towers are pretty outstanding. They're a pretty special piece of equipment. But talking a little bit about the anime thing, I've really gotten back into anime as of late, and I don't know that I would say that I was ever super deep into the whole anime thing, but I have gotten into it on a level that I haven't been before. Meaning that I'm watching probably an episode a day of anime right now, so a good 20 minutes of time is being bled off. That I could be productive and making more videos or whatever, but instead I'm sitting in front of the television watching Crunchyroll. Damn you, Crunchyroll! So Crunchyroll is apparently they pick up everything out of Japan, and they're able to air that stuff very shortly after it actually comes out overseas. So I'm watching the Don Machi stuff now, and Don Machi is a contracted version of the title that I can't say, but the English translation is something like, "Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?" Which is like the most horrible name ever. And the show is about this kid, and I don't know, he's like 14 or 15 years old and lives in this world where there's this big tower. I think they call it the Tower of Babel or something, which is another bad translation. And it stretches up forever. But I guess underneath the tower is like these levels of dungeons. And adventurers can go in, and monsters just spawn over and over like it's a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, right? So in this world, there's like a real I don't know, whatever game, Asheron's Call, or man, I just dated myself, World of Warcraft, or any of the other games where they can go in and they level up and they have abilities, and it's like tattooed on their back, and goddesses and gods have been sent down and they live on Earth, and their powers have been abbreviated, but they still have their families, and the families, people join the family and become a guild of adventurers, and these families go into the dungeons and they adventure for fame and glory and money and all that stuff. So it's kind of an interesting setup for the show, just the whole idea behind it. But I think there are 3 seasons of it, and I'm on season 2 right now, and I've been enjoying it. Have I seen the Animatrix? Yeah, I saw the Animatrix a long time ago, so yeah, that's good. Something that you should watch if you like that is on Netflix. They have Love, Death, and Robots, I think is the name of it. And season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots just came out. And just like Animatrix was like a collection of shorts in the Animatrix or the Matrix universe, I guess, this is a collection of shorts that are they're not related to each other in any way, other than it's like cool animation and cool short stories. So it's kind of like a short story anthology book, but it's an anthology of really awesome animated, mostly science fiction related content. Not all of it though. So there's a lot of stuff, but 2 seasons of that, and I just chewed through all those super fast. I mean, they were really, really awesome. Really, really enjoyed it. And the He-Man trailer dropped. What? Masters of the Universe Revelation? Have I not heard of this? Man, yeah, I gotta check that one out, because I am completely unfamiliar with that one at all. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, Love, Death, and Robots. Enough of that, I think. One other thing I want to call out is another project that I've been working on, and that's the Harbottle Audio M18X subwoofer build, and I just want to say that this thing is awesome. I mean, for the stain I put on the box, so it's a Baltic birch plywood box, right? And the subwoofer comes complete, meaning that you can just plug your power into the back of it and go to town. You're good, but it's not finished. So if you're going to put it behind a screen wall or something like that and hide it, then you could just use it if you want to. But for us, where it needs to be seen, a raw plywood box is not that super appealing. But it comes with everything that you need to fix it up. It comes with feet, and it comes with even a cable end for the speak-on adapter if you don't happen to have one of those. I had all that in place, so for me, I could just plug it in. But I got the stain and the finish. Well, I guess it's called top coat. I'm new to this whole thing. I'd never stained anything before. I'd painted, but I'd never stained. This is my first time staining, and it turned out pretty darn well for a neophyte. I got the feet on there, and I tested it for a while before I went to the home entertainment show. And man, I'm just telling you, that thing's awesome. Yeah, Hi-Fi Haven. It's got great bracing. And this is going to sound weird, but one of my favorite aspects is that it's not too heavy. So the box is birch. It's also sealed, so you don't have all that extra porting stuff on the inside. The subwoofer, which is stunning, has a neo magnet, so it doesn't have humongous ferrous magnets on the back that weigh a ton. So you can get a lot of more motor force out of a much smaller and lighter magnet compared to the big flat old style ferrous metal magnets. So the weight of this thing is literally half of what it would be if you were using a lesser capable subwoofer or lower technology anyway, and then something like MDF to build the box out of. So for me, this is awesome, right? Because I can move it around. I could carry it up and down stairs without too much of an issue. I could probably cart it up. It's probably 100 and something pounds. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not like 300 pounds heavy, right? If I put it on a dolly, it becomes trivial, right? It's a non-thing. But I could probably just hand carry it. If I take it apart, take the subwoofer out, I can hand carry it, no problem, right? Altogether, it's a little bulky. But me and my wife could probably carry it up and down the stairs if we wanted to. But I love that it's lightweight and it's much smaller than a ported design. So I can actually get this in the front of my room and put it under the screen. And speaking of under the screen, one thing that I had hoped to talk with REL about today is their subwoofer philosophy. So, REL, is from a home theater point of view, is has advice that is much different than anybody else in the world, and I'm hoping that I can get them rescheduled to come in on another time, and find out what their express thoughts are. But they don't believe in the whole setting your speakers to small in a home theater, right? They believe in make everything full range. Now, obviously, to do that from their point of view, you'd need to buy like 7 subwoofers and put one on each channel, which I don't think anybody's going to do. But I've considered doing that for my front sound stage. And this is how pro people do it, right? So, you can go to all of the home theater forums. Everybody's like, okay, make all of them small, cross them over at 80, dump them all into your subwoofers, and then just have 2 or 3 or 4 subs, and then time align those with these huge time delays that mess up phase and smear everything. But you're trying to sum to the most flat bass, and I don't agree with that from a setup point of view, right? I don't want to time delay my subs out of phase so badly that things start getting smeary. But you're just trying to get for that most perfect smooth bass response. I'm okay with some bumps in there, and that doesn't bother me at all. I want to have probably a more pure content experience as opposed to the smoothest bass response. But if you go to any pro shop, so and what by pro shop I mean like a mix studio or a QA studio for theater, they're running all their channels as full range as they possibly can. And I didn't know this until I was invited in to go and do some filming at these places for some company product videos. But I was like, I talked to some of the engineers. I'm like, where do you cross your speakers over at? For your mains, for your bed channels. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, don't you cross those over and then some of that in the subwoofers? And they're like, hell no. So we run those full range. And then subwoofers are for the LFE channel. Subwoofers aren't for bass that is designed to come out of the speakers where they're at. So from their point of view, you want to run those all as full range as possible, because the content, the audio content, is designed to come from a specific spot. And if you sum all that stuff and put into subs, then from their point of view, it's not what the intent was. Some people come back and say, well, bass is non-directional, whatever. That's true. But if I got a subwoofer behind me or one in front of me and to the side, a lot of times you can still pick up where those guys are coming from. And the cues that you get out of the rest of the sound as well help with that too. But that's how the pros do it. And I've got 3 matching subs, and I was thinking about trying to figure out how to do that on the front sound stage. Now, of course, I've run into some snags of, how do I do that, right? So if I set the center left and right to large, so that means that they'll get all of the bass content destined for that channel, right? Instead of being crossed over, that information pulled out and then summed into the subwoofer output, which contains also the LFE channel. If I do that, so then I've got an amplified signal. Well, I've got a output for my preamp, right? My pre-pro that is full range. And then, the way things are plumbed now, that goes to an amplifier. Amplifier goes into the speaker wire, which goes into the speaker. So how do I get that into a subwoofer? How do I split that up? So you could take, I guess, that the output on the, the pre-out, your XLR or your RCA, and run that into a crossover, a digital crossover, which would then, digital or analog to digital, that output, cross it over, and then DAC it back to analog and have that on, a high pass and a low pass. And then you can send it to one to the sub and then one to the your mids and highs. I guess that's one way to do it, but I would need 3 crossovers to do that. And I don't really want to do that necessarily. But I would want to split it out. So I wanted to ask REL how they do it, how they recommend that it's done. And I know most of the REL subwoofers have a high level input and they tap off of that. So maybe that's how they do it. They're just like your full range speaker, or your speakers get the full range, even if they can't play the bass. But the high powered signal goes first into the REL sub, and then it loops out of that and goes to the speaker. And then they just tap into that high level input or high level signal, the amplified signal, pull a little bit off of that, and then send that to the sub amplifier, and then cross it over and play the sub at whatever you've got it crossed over at. So maybe that's the way they would do it. Although it seems like it'd be a little more elegant to do that in a crossover upstream, and it would be even more elegant to do that in your processor, but you end up needing like a 20 million channel processor with all this stuff built in, and I don't know that one exists. Maybe if you had an Altitude 32 from Trinov, you can do that kind of stuff in there, and that might be another good reason why to look at that, but I don't know if it has that capability or not. But it would be interesting to see if that is indeed the case. So Double A says speakers too small to get subs on, right? Yeah, so when you set your speakers to small, what that does is you'll set a crossover point for that speaker, and then anything under the crossover for that particular channel gets added in to the subwoofer output, which in the subwoofer output contains the .1 channel, the low frequency or LFE, the low frequency effects channel. But when you set it to small, it just cuts it off, and then everything underneath that frequency gets sent over to that .1 channel. And that's why it's called a subwoofer out and not the LFE channel, because it can carry a lot of stuff in addition to the LFE. Now, when you set a speaker to large, it's not crossed over, so none of that information gets sent out the subwoofer channel. 60, yeah. So I'm crossing mine over around 60 right now too. I'd have to look at it specifically, but everything I've got is pretty much got 8-inch mids in it, so they can play down pretty low. So I don't feel like I need to cross them over super high. But you get so many different opinions. Like some people are like, cross them over super high because you can get a subwoofer that's more efficient and better at playing, up to 120 or something like that than your mains. But I feel like my mains are pretty damn competent down to 40. And I mean, they put out some mid bass. Like my towers are triple eights, right? And triple eights, that's a lot of mid bass, right? I'm not sad about that at all. And most of the surround speakers are double eights, so they're not, they're no slouches either. Unfortunately for me, my center channel is weaker than I would like it to be. Not that it's weak by any stretch of the imagination. It's still a IWH3 from Stark, but I really want that to be IWH5, and I actually have it. It's painful to try and mount that thing, so I gotta figure that out one day. That'll be a different project, but for now, just go with that IWH3. Yeah, dude, you got to experiment with your speaker settings. I mean, I think it's so important to do that. Don't just go and watch some videos and be like, okay, I'm going to cross over at 80 on everything, make everything small, and then just live with it. If you look at the way that other folks do this stuff, there's a lot of ways to do this that potentially can give you a better experience out of your gear than you're getting right now with just a few clicks, right? So, it's just something to think about to go with. So we are at the top of the hour, and I have managed to talk and give you guys an hour of content, even though our guest had technical problems and weren't able to make it. If you guys want to, can see the REL this next week, let me know. I'm going to try and get those guys rescheduled. But send them an email and be like, hey, you guys need to come on that show that you didn't make it on. Come on. I really want to ask these questions because I really want to experiment with the REL methodology in my home theater. And hopefully you guys too will want to do that as well when you get to do it. So if you haven't, please like and subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when new content drops. Comments down below always make my day. I would love to hear what you guys are doing with your subwoofers. How do you have them set up? Have you done anything that you didn't think would work that did work, that's kind of outside of the norm? No judgment from my part, because I do crazy stuff all the time, but I would love to hear the stories from everybody else. And with that, we'll call it a night. And like I always say, thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.